Greetings from Tokyo, my friends. This is Daisuke with another impromptu, unscheduled live stream from my house here in Tokyo. So I hope that things are well. And again, I apologize for the the impromptu nature of this, but I just wanted to just let you know of a sale that is going on now in the Criterion collection. So the Criterion collection has its website, and it also has the Criterion collection store, which you can access through the website, which is criterion.com. And what I just found out is that there is a sale going on at the Criterion Collection store, online store. And if you look at the Criterion Collection site, you'll find out that there is a sale. It's not 50% off, but it looks like it's going to be 30% off suggested retail price through December 12th. So through December 12th. So what this means is you can go there. You have to enter a promo code. The promo code is CHEER, CHEER, but you can find that information in the site itself. And it looks like, my friends, you can get 30% off purchases made through the Criterion Collection web store. So once again, there is a holiday sale going on at the Criterion Collection web store. And if you insert a promo code, which is CHEER, CHEER, as in cheer, happy, happy-go-lucky, ho-ho-ho, that kind of cheer. If you put that in as the promo code, it looks like you can get 30% off your purchases. So 30% off isn't that big as, say, 50% off. So the Barnes & Noble sale that came and went was a 50% off sale. So it's not reaching the same levels of savings as those sales. It's not like a flash sale necessarily, but 30% off is, I would say, not insignificant. And so if you are interested in getting some purchases prior to the end of the year, and if you find, for example, that you want to make purchases through the Criterion Collection web store for whatever reason, then my suggestion is go for this particular sale. It looks like it's going to be, it's going to go on until December 12th. So that's not a lot of time. So that's from today, it's about a week, maybe a little bit less. So not a lot of time. So, but sometimes that's a good thing, my friends, because if you have a short amount of time, that means that you don't necessarily have to worry about, say, going too overboard with making purchases. Believe me, I know the impulse that one can feel when one is looking at the screen and seeing all the pictures that one can click on and put into one's cart. So I feel that impulse very much. So I can sympathize with that impulse. But this looks like it's going to be a very short sale, so only about a week. Again, it ends December 12th, so be wary of that, my friends, if you want to take advantage of this. Also, I'm not sure if these prices, for instance, you can get a fairly good discount on, say, Amazon.com. I don't know, for those of you who use Amazon, I'm sure you know that you can oftentimes find a fairly reasonable discount on Amazon.com, but it looks like 30% off is pretty significant here. And there are, once in a while, not always, but every now and again, once in a blue moon perhaps, there are some titles that one cannot find, for instance, on Amazon.com. Most of the Criterion titles that are not out of print usually can be found on Amazon. And also, sometimes too, some out of print titles can be found on Amazon. But every once in a while, my friends, there are titles that, for whatever reason, are not available on Amazon, but are available through the Criterion web store. And so, if your online searches have led you to the conclusion that a particular title that you are looking for is probably best made available through the Criterion website, then my friends, this is probably a very opportune time to take advantage of this particular 30% off discount that is being provided through this holiday sale at the Criterion web store. Once again, my friends, please be sure you enter the promo code CHEER, that is CHEER. So once again, that's CHEER. But this information actually can be found on the Criterion website, and in fact, I am there right now. The computer is right here. Excuse me for the poor quality, but it's right there, so you can see there is a particular fox that is being pictured there, and in the middle it says holiday sale exclamation point. Enter promo code CHEER for 30% off SRP, suggested retail price, through December 12th. So, my friends, this is good news. I think, again, it's not as good as 50%, but it's much better than 0%. So I'm pretty, I think this is good news for those of us who are, again, as I say, if you are eager to get something now and you missed out on the Barnes & Noble sale and you cannot wait for the next likely sale, Barnes & Noble or Criterion flash sale or otherwise, then this is probably the best place to go. And if you can find a good deal here, that's great. As I say, Amazon is also a good place to go, but it's also nice to shop at the Criterion web store. I know you can accumulate points, I think, and all that. So for those of you out there who are able to take advantage of the Criterion Collection web store purchases, then at the very least, it's worth considering, I suppose. So there's that. But then, of course, I understand that we are coming off the heels of the Barnes & Noble sale, and so perhaps maybe for some of us, the wallet is a little bit thin, understandably so. And this is coming in between the November sale and also Christmas. For those of us for whom Christmas is a holiday where one purchases some presents, then perhaps this might be not such an opportune time. I don't know, it really depends on where you are and what are your priorities and what are your what things you usually do for this time of year. So but if you are able to take advantage of it, my friends, it's at the very least worth considering. I should say that I don't take part in the Criterion sales. I don't make any purchases through the Criterion website, and the reason is simple. As far as I can tell, Criterion does not ship to Tokyo, Japan, where I live. So it's impossible for me to take advantage of this, even if I wanted to. So, and I can't make any purchases through the store, the online store, Criterion. There was a short period of time where I was able to make purchases, but have the shipments made to there was a house where my mother and father used to live in Florida, and so sometimes if they didn't mind, I'd have shipments made to Florida, and then every time I visited them, I would pick up those shipments. But unfortunately, they are no longer here, and the house has been since sold, and so there is no more address in the United States where I would have shipments made anyway. So, but that's this has been the situation for some time now, and I've already become accustomed to that. So every time these sales come along, the flash sale and some sales like this for the Criterion set, through the Criterion store, excuse me, I usually just sit back, but I very much love hearing what titles you received, even if it's just one title, 2 titles, 10 titles, whatever the case may be, my friends. It is always very fun for me to listen to what titles you have and what titles you are thinking about getting and all that. So, if you don't mind, I would love to hear what films you purchased, if at all. Or alternatively, if you don't make any purchases this time, I'd also love to hear, maybe, if you don't mind, some titles that you might be thinking about getting at the next sale, or any other titles that you really want to get your hands on and are just waiting for the next Barnes & Noble sale or the next flash sale or what have you. So please feel free to let me know in the comments section below, and I would love to hear what it is you have gotten or you plan to get or otherwise want to get. So once again, the sale is going on at the Criterion site, and you can go there, criterion.com, and you can make sure you enter in the promo code, because I'd hate for you to make a purchase thinking that you've made it under the sale, but you didn't enter the promo code, and thus the sale discount wouldn't apply. So I'd hate for that scenario to occur. So be sure that you enter the promo code if you can, and please let me know how it goes. So I'd love to hear what it is you have to say. Once again, as I say, I usually say that I live vicariously through your experiences. So I would love to hear what it is you have to say about this and what films you are getting or you're thinking of getting. So that's what I wanted to share with you. So let me just go to the chat room here, and I will be on my merry way, so to speak. So let's see. Cartoon Fortress is here. So thanks for the info, Daisuke. You're quite welcome, Cartoon Fortress. So I hope you enjoy it. Asian movie enthusiast Eric, hello. Hello, it's nice to see you. I hope you're doing well. It's really nice to see you. And I think Asian movie enthusiast, he is Eric, our dear friend Eric, is active as always on his channel, Asian Movie Enthusiast. You certainly don't need me to let you know about that, because he's already well established, and he's already shown us just how deep his knowledge runs. I think, Eric, if I'm not mistaken, you recently put up a video about Parasite. Is that correct? So, I've spoken, many people have asked me, have I seen the film? Have I seen the film? And the answer is no. And the reason is because, to my knowledge, it has not been released here in Japan. It's now the beginning of December. My understanding is that the film will be released in theaters here in Tokyo sometime in January. So I still have to wait about a month and a half, maybe a little more perhaps. So unfortunately, I'm not able to catch it, but I do want to see it very, very much. So I'm anticipating it quite strongly. But our dear friend, Asian Movie Enthusiast, has put up his review of it. So if you are interested in it, my friends, please, as always, check out our dear friend, Asian Movie Enthusiast. Jordan Timrin, hello, it's nice to see you. So you say, hello, Daisuke. I watched Late Spring last night and I was blown away. I can see now why it is one of your favorites. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. That makes me very happy indeed. And in fact, I think Late Spring is here. Is it? Yes, here. It's right here, in fact. Wouldn't you know it? What a coincidence. It just happens to be right here sitting beside me as I'm making this video. And the reason is because just before I went on live, I filmed a little, the raw footage of a video that after this live stream is over, I will edit and put together and hopefully upload either later today my time or tomorrow morning my time. So it's now about 10:50 p.m. where I am, so there's that. But yes, I was just talking about late spring, so that is a nice coincidence, and I'm very happy to hear, Jordan, that you saw it. It's really great, isn't it? It's very, very great. So yeah, let's see. Oh gosh, and I think some other people in the chat are also very happy to hear that you saw late spring. Wonderful. Begbie80, good morning from Canada, you say. Well, hello, cheers to you. Yes, greetings from Tokyo. I hope you're well. Carl Reese, hey Daisuke, I presume this is a U.S. sale. Yes, my presumption is also that U.S. I'm not sure if, I never can remember if it's U.S. only or North America. In other words, U.S. and Canada, I'm not sure. It could be, but I don't know the situation because I've never lived in Canada, and so I've never, therefore, I always forget those details. But the short of it is, for me anyway, and perhaps for people situated similarly to me, is that I'm not able to take advantage of it. And so, yes, so you say no sale over here in the UK, unfortunately. I did just pre-order Now Voyager Criterion out over here on Monday, though, as well as Fistful of Dynamite Eureka. Oh, yes, the limited edition Fistful of Dynamite looks like it's a brick. Yes, yes. I don't know if you've seen that film, Fistful of Dynamite, but that's a great film. Although, I think what I'm interested to figure out or to see is just how this new release from Eureka will affect its critical appraisal, generally speaking. My sense, of course, is that it's considered to be, I know people who really, really love it, but for the most part, I think people consider it to be lesser quality Sergio Leone for certain reasons, and I don't deny the reasonableness of such a position. But I really like that film very much. I love its mysteries. I think of all the major Sergio Leone works, I think the ones that are filled with so many mysteries that are just, I think, inscrutable, even after multiple viewings, I think are the films A Fistful of Dynamite and Once Upon a Time in America. I think those two films are the most mysterious of Leone's career or his filmography. And I think, therefore, that makes the film Fistful of Dynamite a really fascinating work within the context of his filmography. Really, really great. Sean, right? So, yeah, great. And Now Voyager, I just got Now Voyager, in fact, in the mail. So it's actually in a package over there by the television. I haven't had a chance to see it, so now it's Friday night for me, and now it's the weekend, and so I hopefully will find some time. Maybe I'll watch it later tonight. Who knows? There's also it's also together with All About Eve, and I haven't opened the package yet. I think partially because I'm a little bit nervous about the packaging of All About Eve. I've heard and I've seen pictures that look to be, I don't quite know what to make of this packaging design choice on the part of Criterion. But anyway, yes, I did receive that and All About Eve. So can't believe it. And then we have just a couple more titles this year, and then we're done for Criterion releases this year. Am I right? So it's what is it? It's Until the End of the World and Old Joy, right? If my memory is correct. So can't believe this is, the year is almost over in terms of Criterion releases. It just goes by so quickly. Matt Swick, hello. It's nice to see you. Matthew Kokolka, hello. I think it would be a great opportunity to purchase Gimme Shelter on the 50th anniversary of Altamont. Oh, that's an interesting point. Wow, thank you. Is it the 50th anniversary? Really? Gosh, right. December. Okay, wow. Wow, okay. So now 2019. Wow. Man. Yeah, Gimme Shelter. That is an intense watch. It's great, of course, if one is a Rolling Stones fan. And I love the Rolling Stones. I love the '60s Rolling Stones. I think that's really great. And although, I mean, what was I going to say? Oh gosh, there are so many great Rolling Stones songs. It's from the '60s. It's really great. My dad, when he was still alive, he listened to the Rolling Stones intensely for a certain period, and so I think I might have taken some of that from him through some kind of osmosis, parent-child osmosis, perhaps. But yeah, and then it became further augmented by seeing the Rolling Stones songs used in many films, of course. I think the primary examples being certain films by Martin Scorsese. I remember even now the beginning, one of the beginning parts of the Martin Scorsese film, Mean Streets. I don't know if you know this film with Harvey Keitel and Robert De Niro. If you haven't seen it, wow, what that is dynamite, really dynamite. But there's a particular moment at the very beginning where a song is played, right? It's a very famous moment. The song is the Rolling Stones the Rolling Stones song, Tell Me. Tell me you're coming back to me. And at that particular moment, we see Harvey Keitel from behind wandering through a bar that's flooded with red lighting. And we hear the song, and there's a particular camera movement that Scorsese employs, and Harvey Keitel's doing a little bit of a dance as he's walking around, almost gliding around before he sort of almost magically walks off and goes on a stage. And it's quite a remarkable moment in a very remarkable film. And that I never really, to be perfectly honest, got into the song Tell Me until I saw that magical moment and seeing how it was used in the film Mean Streets. And then from then on, it never left me. So thank you, Martin Scorsese. So yes, so thank you very much. So Gimme Shelter, of course, the documentary, and of course it's available through a Criterion release. So that's a very good point you make, Matthew. Thank you very much. Let's see. Matt says, thinking about to grabbing All About Eve, yes, and Mildred Pierce soon, as well as When We Were Kings. Oh, When We Were Kings, yes. That is, and of course, and Mildred Pierce. Oh, great. Those are great. I recommend those if you can get those. And When We Were Kings, that's a great documentary. I remember when it was first released during the time it was a VHS rental. I never managed to be able to see it in the theater, but I was able to see it when it was released on a VHS, and then it was a rental. This is back in the days of VHS rental stores like Blockbuster and all that. But When We Were Kings, that was one I rented so many times, so many times, and it's just a kind of fascinating work, and it's great to see what is it? George Plimpton and Norman Mailer, right? Just talk about boxing and talk about Ali and George Foreman and just verbally contextualize the excitement and the energy and the suspense and the drama of the fight. And so I found there, and so I was a very impressionable. I must have been maybe a young high school student, perhaps. When did that film come out? It was 96, I want to say. So maybe, yeah, so I was not young high school student. I was still in high school, but I was very impressionable, and just to hear the way that they were talking about this, and to hear their use of the English language, and of course, on top of that, you had this sort of titanic matchup, and I at the time I wasn't a boxing. I'm not a boxing historian or an expert in anything, so I didn't know necessarily the background and the history and the social and cultural significance of this particular event. But seeing it unfold in this documentary, the Leon Gass documentary, was really great. And in fact, I still remember, this was at the time I was still watching the Academy Awards at that time, and it was great to see the documentary win. And I remember it was Leon Gast and other crew members were there on stage, and then he called out as he was giving his acceptance speech. I think he started to call out Muhammad Ali, who was there in the audience, and I think he stood, and then he was like, "We have to start showing our respect to him," or I'm paraphrasing, and then people just started to applaud and cheer and stand up, and then that gave way, I think, to Muhammad Ali being invited up to the stage. I think I'm remembering correctly. It's been a while since I saw it, but yeah, that was a great moment. So I hope you enjoy it. That's quite a film, and it's great to see it in the Criterion collection. And as well, it also includes Soul Power, which is also very good. Not very good. It's great. So you're getting two films for the price of one, right? I think, if you recall, Soul Power was a film that was given its own individual release by Eureka Masters of Cinema, but Criterion has done us one better. They've given us two films for the price of one, and if you can get it at a sale, that's even better. So anyway, let's see. Carl Reese seems to agree as well. Amazing documentary, as he says. Let's see. So, let's see here. Jonah Dunn, hello. I want to get Warped World of Kuroyoshi Kurihara and Oshima's Outlaw 60s. Those are two great Eclipse sets. Those are fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Yeah, if you can, you should get those. Oh man, I love those. I love those very much. Oh man. Yes, please do. If you get them and if you start watching them, let me know. I'm always into to anyone who has any comments about those sets. John Perry, hello. I'm really glad that Criterion released my all-time favorite movie, Down by Law. I compared the UK Blu-ray to it, and Criterion won hands down. Oh, what a great choice, Down by Law. Wow, that is really wonderful. I once saw Jim Jarmusch in a small bookstore in New York one day when I was there, and it was unmistakable. Jim Jarmusch. I think he's very unique looking individual. And he was in this bookstore, and I didn't want to interrupt him. I didn't want to intrude, but if I had the courage, I would have just gone up to him, just said, "Hello, I'm a big admirer of your works," and then just run off. But I didn't even have the courage to say that, so I just stared at him and just pretended to be just cool and just walk away like it was nothing. But really, it was such a big deal, and I still remember it even to this day. I also once saw, there's the Barnes & Noble in Union Square in New York, Well, I was there one day, and I went in, and it's a pretty big place if you've ever been there. But the lobby just by the entrance there has these tables, and they have the bestsellers and all the books that Barnes & Noble usually wants to push, basically. And I was just walking into the Barnes & Noble Union Square one day, and I just walked in, and I just looked over, and unmistakable, Bjork. You know, Bjork was there, and she was just standing there like a regular customer, just looking at perusing through some of the books there. So I should have, as I said, I should have summoned up the courage and said, "Oh, hello, Bjork. I guess I like her music. I don't have a lot of her. I don't have a lot of her. I don't have any of her albums, actually, but I do like some of her music. But I'm not the biggest expert in Bjork music, so I don't know what I would have been able to say had I had the courage to go up to her and just express to her that I really admired her. I think it was around the time, although I can't quite pinpoint exactly. I don't think it was. It might have been afterwards. I'm not sure, but Dancer in the Dark. I don't know if you recall that film. This is after Dancer in the Dark, I think. And so, but I don't know if you've seen Dancer in the Dark, but that was I saw that in the theater with a dear friend of mine. We've lost touch, unfortunately, but wow, gosh, that was a really a mesmerizing experience, very, very intense. But yeah, so I saw Bjork in the bookstore there, but I didn't say hello. But it's probably best that I didn't, because if you see sort of famous people in bookstores, you kind of figure that they're just there just to look at books, and they don't necessarily want to be disturbed. So I suppose I probably did the right thing, although it would have been interesting to see what would have happened had I had the courage to say hello, Bjork. But oh well, c'est la vie, as it were. I think did I mention this as well? I also walked. This is also when I was living in New York City at the time, and it was a very short period of time. But I forget the name of this. It was around downtown Manhattan during lunchtime, and I was just walking by some. It was a fairly well-to-do area, and I was just walking by for whatever reason, and I looked in the window of the restaurant that I happened to be passing at that particular moment, and I saw none other than Brian De Palma. He was there by himself at a table, eating whatever it was, lunch or brunch or whatever the time of day it was. It wasn't evening, it was during the day, so it would have been brunch or lunch. It could have been breakfast, who knows. I forget the exact time of day. But yeah, it was Brian De Palma there, and he was by himself, and I didn't stand in the window that long. I didn't want to ogle, I didn't want to freak him out or anything like that, with this strange guy just standing in the window, just staring at him. That would have been rude of me, but I did. It was unmistakably Brian De Palma, and he was there. And you know, Brian De Palma has that Brian De Palma look. You know, he has that kind of jacket, that beige colored jacket, or the sweater underneath or something, and he always wears that in interviews, and he seems to be, whenever someone takes a photograph of him on the set of a film or something, he seems to be wearing that Brian De Palma getup, you know. Well, wouldn't you believe it, he was wearing that same getup as he was eating lunch or whatever it was in this restaurant, in this random restaurant in New York, by himself. And so that's the real deal. So whenever you see Brian De Palma in that Brian De Palma garb, take it from me, that's apparently what he wears during his own private time. So that's great. That's great. And actually, just to round it out, I did also, when I was in New York, there was I forget the name of the. It was a supermarket near Union Square, and I did my grocery shopping there. And once in a while I would see, it was, which one? It was Ethan Coen, not Joel Coen, but Ethan Coen, so of the Coen brothers. So I would see him there just doing his grocery shopping. And I remember I was just, just, buying groceries, whatever it was, whatever I was buying those days. And he was there as well, but he was at the next register over. So, but it was unmistakably Ethan Coen, because he has that, I don't know how to explain it except to say that Ethan Coen look, if you know what I mean. And while I'm on the topic, there's also one here in Japan. I go to a gym, and I like to work out and do exercises there. But not the one that I'm currently at, but the one that I used to go to, but I don't go to anymore. Several years ago, I was there and I was doing exercises, whatever I was doing at the time, weights or something. And then there were two, what do you call them? Sit-up benches. They're benches that are inclined, and so you can sit and you can curl your legs around the top there, and you can do sit-ups, right? Well, I was doing sit-ups on one of the benches, and the other bench next to me was free, until I happened to notice during my exercise that someone came over and occupied the bench and started to do sit-ups as well. So I was just doing sit-ups. And then I just took a break in between sets, and I just happened to look over, and wouldn't you believe it, it was none other than the Japanese actor, Ken Watanabe. I don't know if you know Ken Watanabe, but Ken Watanabe was there. And this was probably around the time, maybe give or take a year, I don't remember exactly, but I want to say it was maybe around the time of Inception, right? Where he was, what was the name of his character in Inception? Saito, right? He has that great line in Inception. What does he say? When they're all talking about the, how are they going to plan the plane and everything? You have to bribe all this thing, and then he just stands up and says, I bought the airline. It seemed neater. That's a great line. So it solves so many issues in the narrative. So it's great. But yeah, but he was there doing sit-ups. And again, I didn't have the courage to say hello to him, but I did want to. I suddenly felt this inexplicable sense of rivalry for whatever reason. And so what I thought the very least I could do is not give up on the number of sit-ups I did. So I made sure that whenever he did a set of sit-ups, I would always try to do more, whatever this silly little sense of or sort of a playful competitiveness came into me for whatever reason. But I think what happened was that after that, maybe the day after, so I had a little bit of muscle soreness because I overdid the sit-ups there. But the point of the story is that Ken Watanabe was, he was there as well. He's a very tall man, very, very tall. So anyway, sorry about that. I just went completely off the rails there. Sorry about that. But John Perry, so Down by Law, well done, John. Let's see. Carl's Rant and Reviews is here. Hello. How are you? I'm good. Thank you. It's the end of a long week, so thank you very much. And let's see. Okay, so. All right. Sorry about this. Jordan says again, I purchased EE, A Brighter Summer Day, and the Crazy Houseu t-shirt from the sale. Great. Oh, that's great. I'm ready to take a deep dive into Edward Yang as well as watch your videos afterwards. Wow, that's so kind of you. Thank you so much. I've had the great pleasure of doing a lot of videos here on this YouTube channel, but I think of the videos that I've done, I'm very, very proud of the videos that I did for the films of Edward Yang. I'm very, very proud of those. Yeah, those films, man. Did I mention that when E was first released in North America, I saw it in the theater. I didn't quite know what to make of it, because I was still a student, and Edward Yang was very unfamiliar to me, and I think he was unfamiliar. His name was unfamiliar to a lot of people, but it was a kind of revelation, and I couldn't believe it, and it was filled me with so much excitement. But then, unfortunately, as you know, it was the last film he would have made in his career, because he left us much too early in his life. So that saddens me. But it's those films that he made. Yeah, E and A Brighter Summer Day. Wow. Wow, those, I hope you enjoy them. Even if you don't, that's okay. I'm still curious to hear what it is you have to think about those, my friend. So if you have a chance, please let me know what you think of them. And if it's at all possible, do watch them wearing your house t-shirt. I think that would be really great. Yes, yes. House, that's another film I'd love to talk about. I mentioned it as being a film that I think find, and I mean this so positively, I find very incomprehensible, but there's nothing wrong with that at all. I think it's a brilliant work of art. Imantul, hello, yes. Manos, hello. Eric did a great top 10 Japanese films of the 40s. Yes, yes. Eric, actually, I don't think he'd mind if I said that Eric and I actually met in person. We had lunch together because he was traveling, and he happened to be in Tokyo, and we had lunch together, and he and I talked a lot, and it was great meeting him. And one of the things he talked about is some of his plans for his videos on YouTube, one of which being talking about Japanese films from particular decades. I hope I'm not giving too much away, but he did give a great video on the 40s. So wonderful stuff, wonderful. Dan Moden, I hope I got that right. Hello, it's nice to see you, Dan. I want to get the Lone Wolf and Cub box set. Oh, yes, yes. If it's at all possible, Dan, yes. And if you happen to catch up with those films, and you wouldn't mind letting us know what you think, we'd love to hear what it is you have to think about this. So great suggestion about that. Chandler Chavez is here. Hello, it's nice to see you. Dungeon Studio, our dear friend, hello. Dungeon Studio says, Criterion sucked me into ordering 3 more movies for Christmas. LOL. So, yes. Right, I will, again, it's a quote I've borrowed from, I've said here before, but I'll say it again, right? Just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in. So, Dungeon Studio continues. I think I've saved 30% on the pre-order of Until the End of the World. Also picked up Failsafe and Shock Corridor, which I've never seen before. Wow, wonderful. Shock Corridor. I think you're in for a treat. That is a yeah, that's something else. That film is something else. Oh man. Matt continues. At the Barnes & Noble sale in July, I picked up many, all caps, titles, one being Three Women, the Robert Altman work. It was a first-time watch for me, and I absolutely loved it. That's great. You know, Three Women, that is a really, I think it's a really challenging work, and so the fact that you say it was a first-time watch, and the fact that you say you absolutely loved it, is really impressive. I'm very impressed. Well done. Well done. If you like Three Women, and if you haven't seen Persona yet, and if you say you loved Three Women, I think you will absolutely adore the film Persona. Mike Eli, hello. I went all in for the November sale. Blu-ray collection is complete. Congratulations. So what Mike Eli, our dear friend Mike, is saying is that he is now currently Blu-ray complete in the Criterion collection. So bravo. Well done. You know, there is an aspect of the Criterion collection that caters to the collector instinct that resides in some of us, or many of us, if not all of us. And so having that particular bug, I completely understand exactly what you say. And so I'm very happy for you. I'm I'm so happy for that. I wonder, does that mean, I would assume that means out of print Blu-rays as well. So even if it doesn't mean that, even if it's just currently released Blu-rays, that's still a wonderful achievement and accomplishment. So well done, Mike. Dungeon Studio says, "Good thing you didn't say anything to Bjork. She might have beat you up." Oh yes, there are some legends about that, about how, sort of her demeanor. But I like paparazzi and stuff. But I don't think I was necessarily looking like a paparazzi or anything like that. But at the same time, I do. I mean, right? It's like me. If I'm out and about or something, maybe with my family or something, you don't necessarily want to be. Sometimes you just want to be left alone, right? Right, as right in the divine words of Greta Garbo, as quoted by Hercule Poirot, as played by Albert Finney in the film Murder on the Orient Express, "I want to be alone," right? So let's see. Carl says, "Dancer in the Dark." So the film that I was referring to, great but typically bleak. Vontra, bleak. Underline, circle, highlight. Yes. Wolfgrat says, "I once walked past Tom Baker." Wow. Tom Baker. Wow. Excellent. Oh, great. Man, that would have been... Hold on, sorry about this. My computer froze. Wow, Tom Baker. That is fantastic. Oh, man, but I'm sorry, I missed. But he looked a bit harassed at the time. And then I once shared a loo with Charles Dance. But again, I didn't think it was appropriate to start a conversation. There was Charles Dance. There was this, like, I always forget, but there was this TV miniseries. It was a 2-part miniseries. I think it was shown in the United Kingdom when I was a child. I forget the name of it, but it was this miniseries about I forget what it was. He was a doctor and he was mixing having a human born from a primate or something like that, and he grew. I forget, but it was, I forget the title, Firstborn or something like that, or and the child's name was Gore, I think, or Boar or something, Gore, something like. It was 2 parts, and I remember I was being so captivated by that as a kid. And then remembering afterwards that I think it was pretty much critically panned. And then Charles Dance, of course, giving me nightmares as the bad guy in The Golden Child. Yes, and then Tom Baker, of course, yes. Well, I don't want to get too much into it, but right, Harry Sullivan is an imbecile, and maybe more recently, what should I say? Right, who knows? Who knows? So let's see. Okay. John Perry says, great story. Obviously, Tom Waits is an amazing addition to Down by Law, both in acting and especially the soundtrack. Yes, Tom Waits. I love Tom Waits' music, but it's so varied. Of course, I think I love the maybe I'm more of a fan of the stuff prior to Swordfish Trombone, but. Oh gosh, that's great. If you're looking for a great Tom Waits work in the Criterion collection, might I respectfully direct your attention to the DVD called Fishing with John. It also has Jim Jarmusch, and John Lurie. And so if you're a fan of Down by Law, and if you haven't seen Fishing with John, you should see Fishing with John immediately. It's great. It's in the Criterion collection. It's an old DVD, but if you don't mind that, it's highly worth it if you haven't seen it already. I'm not sure if you can see those Fishing with John episodes elsewhere. Maybe you can find them on YouTube or something. I'm not sure. It wouldn't surprise me if you could. So, but there's that. Yes. So, gosh, let's see. And Wolfgratz continues on quite a few stage actors at the bar. Good evening, afternoon, evening, by the way. Let's see. Dungeon City says, a Cohen Alone. Has a nice ring to it. Yes, Cohen Alone. Speaking of Alone, I didn't finish watching it, but Home Alone 3 was playing on TV here in Japan. And it has nothing to do with the Coen brothers, but I'd never seen that before. And I didn't realize, but Scarlett Johansson, a very young Scarlett Johansson, is in that film, right? So Home Alone 3. Yeah, we didn't finish it because of the lateness of the hour, and it was time for our kids to go to sleep. But maybe they seemed to be interested in it, so perhaps, or maybe we should rent the first Home Alone film. Well, that might be interesting. But let me think about that. Kia. Kanapur, hello, good morning, Daisuke. I've already partaken extensively in the recent 50% off Barnes & Noble and Criterion flash sales. Yes, I can understand this. So I cannot justify participating in this sale. Thank you as always, though. I think that's that's a very reasonable stance to adopt and approach, my friend. No worries. And you said you've already taken advantage of the 50% off sale, so it probably might seem a little bit of a regression if you took advantage of a 30% off sale. So I understand, definitely. Wolfgratz says, I felt no sense of rivalry with Charles Dance. Imantul, what would you do if you saw Sean Connery in person? I guess I would say thank you. And let him know that I think so many great performances by Sean Connery, of course. The one that always got me as a kid, I think, was The Man Who Would Be King. The one that I think gets a lot of attention, very justifiably so, is The Untouchables. The one that I think I grew to admire when I was, now in my, late 30s, now 40, but it was the film, the film The Offense, the Sidney Lumet film, The Offense. There are other great stuff that he's done with Sidney Lumet, of course, The Hill and Anderson Tapes, and I don't know if you've seen the film Family Business as well, which is, I think, so underrated. But The Offense, wow, that is a chilling performance by Connery. One of his best, and if you haven't seen it, it's really, really great. I highly recommend it. It's very dark, gritty 70s dark drama from Sidney Lumet, and I think, yes, it is available. Hopefully it still is, through Eureka Masters of Cinema for those of us, our friends who are in the United Kingdom. So, wow, that is a wow, yeah, that is a mean film, very mean. Oh, what a great performance. And I also neglected to mention his small but memorable performance in Murder on the Orient Express, another Sidney Lumet film, where he played the character with the great name. I love Agatha Christie and how she names her characters. His name was Colonel Arbuthnot. And I love it. There's a bit at the very beginning where I think one of the ticket the ticket conductors or something for the ferry, the Istanbul ferry. I think it's the Istanbul ferry to Istanbul, I think. But but the ferry ticket guy checks his the ticket, and he's having trouble pronouncing his name, Colonel Abu, and then Sean Connery very curtly says Arbuthnot in that lovely thick Connery way of speaking. So that's great. And of course, I didn't even mention the Bond films that he was in, and I would say that his work with the Bond films is really great. I mean, it's granted, I think he seemed very maybe not lackadaisical is the right word, but he seemed a little bit. He seemed more intensely into the works. With the first two in particular, I think, Dr. No and From Russia with Love. I love From Russia with Love, by the way. That is such a great thriller. Yeah, Lottie Lenya, right, is there. Robert Shaw is there. Wow, great. Pedro Armendáriz is there. Great stuff. Anyway, let's see. Unity, Duty, and Destiny. Hello. Good evening, Daisuke. Hope all is well. Thank you very much. Yes, things are well. Thank you. I'm even better now. I'm able to talk to my dear friends like yourself, so it's nice to see you. Thank you. Let's see. Just skipping over here. There's talk about 3 women, understandably so. Let's see. Mike Eli says, yes, all titles, referring to his now being Criterion Blu-ray complete, including OOP. It's been years in the making. Yes, congratulations. Well done. So that means you have films like The Confession, right? That's OOP, right? And Chungking Express and Howard's End. Oh gosh, that makes me so bad. That was such a great release from Criterion, the Howard's End Blu-ray. I'm so sad that that's out of print. You can still watch the film, but gosh, I love that film, Howard's End. I really love that film. I love the book, and I love the film. And I love the film despite the fact that it doesn't verbalize the famous passage from the book as written by E.M. Forster, right? The famous passage of Margaret Schlegel, right, is right, only connect. I mean, that's the spirit of the film, of course, as well, because it's obviously the spirit of the story, Howard's End, but it's never articulated in words, as far as I remember, by any particular character or narrator. The film doesn't employ a narrator, but right, only connect. But still, the spirit of only connect is ever present in the Merchant Ivory film, Howard's End, which is a brilliant film, absolutely brilliant film. I had the great honor of being able to see Howard's End in the theater when it was first released. I loved it then, and I love it now. I think I love it more now than I did then. Emma Thompson is just brilliant. Anthony Hopkins is brilliant. Everyone is brilliant in that film. Brilliant stuff. And it's all thanks, I think, in large part to the masterful work, E.M. Forster work. I reread that once a year. I love that work so much. Only connect, my friends, right? Only connect. But so what was I saying? So yes, out of print. It's a shame that it's out of print. But I'm very happy to hear, my friend, that that I would assume, therefore, that since that was a Blu-ray, then you have that as well. So let's see. Wolfgrad says, "Yep, Firstborn." So I was right. Firstborn, right, with Charles Dance and the boy the character whose name is Gore. Right, I seem to remember there's a bit at the end of part 1 where the boy's screaming out of joy. He says, "Gore, I'm Gore, I'm Gore," or something like, and then it fades to black. And then it has, I don't want to say anything more unless, because if people are interested here to watch Firstborn, I don't want to spoil the ending, but that had a pretty, wow, like, what an ending. What an ending. Let's see. So Wolfgrat says Three Women has picked up very good video reviews lately. Yes, a lot of Three Women discussion here. Great. Let's see. John Perry says, thanks for the tip. I knew about Fishing with John, but only thought it was a 10-minute thing and nothing else. I'll take your recommendation and hunt it out. Yes, his early work is amazing. Tom Waits, right, is right. So yeah, Fishing with John is the DVD by Criterion is a collection of, I want to say, 6 episodes, right? 6 episodes. So they're very short. They're not. It's not 10. It's about, I want to say, what, 20, maybe 25, 30 minutes, something like that. Not overly long, so you can watch an episode and then stop and come back. They are fantastic, fantastic. So. Wolfgrat says The Hill and The Offense are among my favorite films. Oh, great, great. Yes, and Ian Bannon. Yes, yes. I agree. I absolutely agree. You know, I love. Oh gosh. Man, I don't want to get into too much of this, but you know, you're gonna. Excuse me. Oh yeah, what the heck? So I love. Ian Bannon as well. I think the one that I really admire, it's not in The Offense, although he's great in The Offense, as you know. I don't know if you've seen, you probably have, right? Seen Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, the British, the BBC adaptation with Alec Guinness, right? Where he plays, what's the character? Jim Preto, right? So, oh gosh, that scene where he and Smiley are talking, and I'm gonna quote out of context unless you know the work, so it's not necessarily spoiling for those who don't. But you know the scene where Preto and Smiley are talking in the car, and Smiley's putting together what's going on, and you know, and then Preto is talking about, Ian Bannon, who's playing Preto, he's talking about what happened, what he was told to do and not to do by Toby Esterhazy and all that stuff. And, you know, that, you know, the circles in a road, I can forget about Tinker Tailor and the whole damn show and that sort of thing. Forget about it. And then this prompts Smiley to do that ever so smiley thing that George Smiley does. He just sits there, gives a little huff, and he says very slowly but with a commanding presence, right? So Toby actually mentioned Tinker Tailor to you. However did he get a hold of that? And then it cuts back to Ian Bannon's face as Jim Preto, and you can tell he puts it together in his head, and he just becomes livid. And then that starts the whole cycle of the final act with Jim Preto and the rest. I don't want to say, wow, but that's such a great moment. Anyway, sorry about that. So let's see. Dungeon Studio says, I like Sean and Zardos. Yes. You know, I saw that much too young, and there's a lot of there are a lot of scenes of a sort of a explicit sexual nature, and I saw that much too young. A lot of it was kind of eye-opening for me. What a great film! And let's see, great. Let's see here. Sorry about this. You know, sometimes if you write a comment, YouTube does this automatic thing where it holds it for my review. It's not me, it's YouTube automatically. So if you find sometimes you type in a comment and it doesn't show up, I'll try to catch it in time. There's a button I push on my end where I can just push OK and it'll show up. But if it doesn't show up, it's just because I didn't manage to catch it in time. So let's see. Yeah, Wolfgratz, yeah. hot and cold on Zardos, but it's growing. Good, good. Um, um, Unity Duty and Destiny says at Carl says not a huge fan of that trio, honestly, even though I have a huge bias towards Willem Dafoe. It's due for a rewatch though. A bias towards Willem Dafoe, so that means bias towards means you like Willem Dafoe. Speaking of fishing with John, fishing with John and Willem Dafoe. So I won't say anything more. So let's see. Wolfgratz, yeah, Howard Zen only connects, yes. And Dungeon Studio says, I just picked up Tokyo Olympiad on DVD for $50. Wow, that's great. Now I just need Last Year at Marienbad on DVD, and I'll have all the OOP titles as well. Great. You know, I think my sense is Last Year at Marienbad on DVD is not as expensive as the Blu-ray, which is also out of print, but it's still, relatively speaking, expensive, of course. But I wish you the best of luck with that. I hope your hunt bears fruit. So, yeah, yeah. Gosh. Yes, Jim Prito. Yes, he is the best. Jim Prito. That's for sure. You know, I must admit I didn't hate the Gary Oldman film, but I found that it took a lot of shortcuts with the story, which I was kind of surprised by because I don't know the extent to which Le Carré was involved, but you know, I always felt that it kind of, while it was good, I always thought it paled in comparison to the BBC drama, which was much longer and episodic and had so many layers to it. That's really great. It's really a drama of manners, much like, I mean, you know, it's much like Jane Austen and her drama of manners, as it were. But this drama of manners is now placed onto the template of a spy thriller. So, and the whole point is to see how people react when you ask them a question, what words they use, and what gesture they employ, and all that. It's so great. If you want a masterclass in acting, you just got to check out that. My favorite scene out of that whole series of great. There's so many great scenes in that, but my favorite scene is oh gosh, has to be right. Smiley and Toby right at the end. What a great scene that is. Oh gosh. Yeah. What a great, oh gosh, I love that. I love that so much. Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. Unity, Duty, and Destiny asks, Daisuke, what is your favorite Ozu film? I tried to introduce my father to Tokyo Story last night, but around the scene where they get drunk, my father wanted to go to sleep. Okay, so my favorite is probably maybe Late Spring. Although Tokyo Story is, I think, very good. So I would, gosh, it's tough though. Good Morning is really good, although my experience has been, if you're trying to introduce Ozu to someone who's new to Ozu, that film can be a bit hit or miss. And so maybe Late Spring, I would say. Late Spring or Good Morning, perhaps. Good Morning is generally speaking, much lighter fare, and therefore, on that note, it might be seen as being maybe an easier entry point into Ozu. Although I think Late Spring is magnificent, absolutely magnificent. You continue. He is not a fan of subtitle movies and doesn't like movies with black bars, but offered to finish it with me tonight. I was surprised you wanted to finish it with me. Maybe that speaks for itself. Yes, I think that's a pretty big that's a big thing, a big deal. So great. You commented on my Instagram photo of picking up the Godzilla Criterion set. John Perry says, I was very much on the fence with it, but after watching your videos, you swung it from me just in time to pick it up. Oh gosh, oh gosh, I hope that's okay. I mean, it's an expensive set, so I hope it wasn't. I hope you like the films. That's the most important thing. But I'm very honored that you'd say that. So thank you very much. Yeah. So I think that set is really good. But you know, the it's there are a lot of films, and they are kaiju films, so but they are a lot of fun, but they certainly aren't for everyone. But if you are okay with kaiju films, they are a lot of fun, a lot of fun. And if you watch those films, let me know what you think of them, and we can exchange notes. My favorite is, incidentally, my favorite is Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla. I love that film. I absolutely love that film. I think I've memorized it from beginning to end. I was actually thinking quite seriously. I sometimes do these live stream film club chats where I wake up early on a Sunday and I just talk about a film, and then I get comments from you in the live stream live chat. I'm seriously considering doing Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla in a future live stream film club chat. I don't know what the interest might be. It could be just me in the air. I don't know, but even so, it would be so much fun for me. There's so much to talk about with that particular film. I love it so much. But anyway. Sorry about that. Endless underscore Mike. Did you know they released the original Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy on Blu-ray in the UK with a new transfer? The original Tinker. So this is the BBC miniseries. Is that right, on Blu-ray? Oh wow, that's very interesting. Let's see. Altron Kaiju. Hello. Let's see. So I drugged it with the general, and then I had it there. Oh, interesting. I think that could be. What was I going to say? It could be that. It could be. Well, actually, maybe I'll save my comment for another time. I guess I'm trying to think of other Ozu films. I mean, maybe I would have suggested maybe The Silence, but that might be difficult territory to get into if one is new to Ozu. But let me think about that. Maybe I'll try to make a video about that one day. But Amon Tool says early summer, great, is a perfect combination of Ozu's comedy and drama. That's a good point. Random question: have you seen Dagra Malgra? I watched it ages ago without subtitles. So this is the Matsumoto film, right? Yes, I've seen it a number of times, and actually I have it up there. So yeah, that's I would love to talk more about Matsumoto on this channel one day, but oh man, yeah, and it's getting a blue. Oh, I didn't know that. It's getting a blue. That's interesting. That's very interesting. Wow. I hope that means more of his works, but that's a kind of wonderful. I mean, his works are really just a kind of what do you call it? They are one of a kind in cinema. So I would, I would love to talk about those one day. But oh well, c'est la vie. I just don't have the time, but I wish I did have the. Let's see. So just going ahead. Oh, movie chatter. Hello. It's nice to see you. I hope you're well. Let's see. So I'm just skipping around here. Wolfgrat says that's right, endless. They haven't done Smiley's People yet, though that's still a DVD. Oh, Smiley's People's also great. That's so great. Wow, gosh, what's the name? Gosh, that is such a great. Gosh, you're making me wanna see Tinker Tailor and Smiley's People again. Oh, I love that so much. Uni Judy Destiny says, continuing on Ozu, I personally adore floating weeds. Oh, great, yes, and will likely again spin my Laserdisc sometime soon because of this discussion. Great, wonderful. Let's see. John Perry's talking about the Godzilla set. The price was good for me. It was storage. That was my main concern. Yes, I'm a huge fan of the Showa era and have flicked through the days and have been pleasantly impressed by the picture quality. Yes, yes. It's. I think the transfers are the same transfers that were used on the earlier Blu-ray releases by Toho here in Japan on the Japanese Blu-rays, so really good quality, although not 4K. You may know this, they have been doing making efforts with some 4K work, most notably King Kong vs. Godzilla, although my understanding is that that has not been given any kind of home media release here in Japan. I didn't see it, and I just read about it, so I didn't even know what the quality is and all that, but I think it's definitely I think one of the maybe disappointments for hardcore Godzilla fans with the set from Criterion is that it wasn't 4K necessarily, but I think that's ultimately up to Toho and the licensors, and so there's some reason why that's being held up. I think it would be perfect subject matter for that, but I don't know where to. But still, we're getting some great stuff here. So and the picture quality I think is really great. I think the worst picture quality, understandably so, is actually the one for King Kong vs. Godzilla, because there are certain issues inherent with the transfer, but that can't be helped. So, and it's not everlasting. It just happens here and there, but it's noticeable. But that's the worst one. But it's not the film's fault, and it's not Criterion's fault. And let's see. Bernard Hepton, yes, got promoted from Toby to George in a radio production of Tinker Tailor. Yes, I know about that. It's Bernard Hepton's Toby Esterhazy is one of the greats. I love it. Yes, I'm paraphrasing, but what does George say? What does he ask him? He says, have you ever seen a fake painting? And then Toby says, sold a couple once. And he gives that real devilish smile. And then we know what happens to his character in Smiley's People. It's really wonderful. Let's see. And sorry about this. I'm gonna actually. It's midnight now, or it's what? It's 11:55, 11:53 here. So I am going to start to wind down here. So I'm sorry, but I'm gonna have to just start to get ready to go to sleep, or just maybe watch something and then go to sleep. So sorry about this. I didn't mean to go over like this, but. Lizardman, hello. I hope you're well. It's nice to see you. Good morning or good night. Yes. So it's nice to see you. Speaking, I was just talking about Murder on the Orient Express and Agatha Christie. Speaking of which, I just heard Powerhouse Indicator is going to release. They're going to release, I think, next year, February, The Pillow Book, and Secret Friends. The film, the Dennis Potter film. I know for those of you who know Dennis Potter, but that's a really big deal. And they're also going to release Endless Night. Do you know the film Endless Night, which is based on Agatha Christie's novel from her later career with Hugh Bennett and I'm blanking on why am I forgetting her name? Haley Mills, thank you, and Britt Eklund, right, and music by Bernard Herrmann, of all people. It's really quite a creepy movie. So I'm very excited for that. It's a very, on the one hand, it's very unusual Agatha Christie story, but on the other hand, it's actually quite typical of Agatha Christie, if you know her novels, especially some of her early famous works. But it's really, I love that film very much. I saw it when I was a kid, because I remember I loved Agatha Christie when I was very, very young, and ever since then I was just devouring all the films and books that I could get my hands on. And then one of those films that I saw was the adaptation of Endless Night, and I saw it and it freaked me out as a kid. It gave me nightmares. It was so scary. So it'll be nice to see that again. Of course, I've seen it a number of times since, but I've never owned it. But so I'm looking forward to that very much. And then Secret Friends, right? Dennis Potter. I still, it's kind of funny. I still hum the theme song to that film to this day. You know, when we're just secret friends, you know, that theme song to that. It's not very, I don't know if it's that famous. Well, maybe actually, yeah, but yeah, that's a Dennis Potter. That's another. That's a discussion for another day. But yeah, his works are really they really mean a lot, and even to me, where I don't necessarily have the full grasp of the context of that contemporary UK history in the political scene, especially with the Labour Party and such during that period. But still, for me, it was his works were always eye-opening and remarkable. I think the one work that I don't have, and it's very difficult. You know, it's never been released on home media, right? And I was able to see it through these really terrible VHS copies that I had to watch a long time ago, and I don't have them anymore. But the series Black Eyes, I don't know if you know Black Eyes, but of course Dennis Potter's works are very famous for his teleplay work, perhaps most magnificently, Pennies from Heaven and The Singing Detective. That's great. And I remember also too, I was there for and I was in the U.S. at the time, I think, but it was for the broadcast, the premiere broadcast on TV in the U.S. for his final set of miniseries, which is Karaoke and, or the way they pronounce it over in the work with Karaoke and Cold Lazarus, which were really interesting. I don't know if they were completely successful, but they were, for the most part, very interesting combination of works. The character's name, what was his name? Albert Finney's character's name. Daniel Field. That was right. Daniel Field. Feeld. That was interesting. So, yeah, so the Powerhouse Indicator announcement was very interesting indeed. So, yeah, so sorry about that. So McGregorable J. Well, that's a very nice name. Hello. Let's see. Wolfrat says, I used to have a terrible crush on Haley Mills when I was a small boy. I always hoped she would wait for me. Yeah. There is a particular moment where yeah, well, I don't want to spoil it if you haven't seen, but she's really good in the film Endless Night. So, yeah, she's really good in that film. Dungeon Studio says, just saw an Agatha Christie play, Witness for the Prosecution. Yes, now I feel I need to see the movie. Yeah. The movie's actually, it was released on what was it, Masters of Cinema. So that's a really great great film adaptation. The play is really fantastic. I know wasn't there a recent BBC adaptation for TV with oh gosh, why am I blanking on the name? I forget. It's late. But there was a BBC adaptation. They do those, right, with Christie's, right? The Christie for Christmas or something. And they had one recently with the ABC Murders with John Malkovich as Poirot, and what's his name from the Harry Potter films. But then they did the previous year. What was it? It was Ordeal. Was it Ordeal by Innocence? I forget. I didn't see it. But the one before that was Witness for the Prosecution. Oh gosh, yeah. So Witness for the Prosecution is a really great play. What was the story about that? It was a play. Please correct me if my history on this is wrong, but it was a play, and then it turned into a short story, or she adapted it into a short story. Oh no! It was a short story, and then the play was based on the short story, but it expanded the story. If you know the difference between the short story and then the play version, the play actually has the short story ends at a certain point, and then the play continues. It goes up to that point, and it continues on beyond what the short story offers, and then in fact, if you look at the play, and then you look, for instance, at the film by the film with Charles Laughton, right, as Sir Wilfrid, which is even more of it's more of a sort of a freer adaptation in certain respects, although it does follow the play and the short story somewhat closely. But that actually goes then beyond the end of the play, and it gives a nice cinematic ending, if you will, to the story. But although I think then that the BBC adaptation really turns it on its head and turns it into a completely different beast by the film's end, which I think is quite interesting. There's also the adaptation from the early '80s, I think, for TV with Diana Rigg. I don't know if you know that one, but that's the one that I actually saw that one before I saw the film. But oh well, c'est la vie. That's the same thing with The Lady Vanishes. I don't know if you know The Lady Vanishes, but I actually saw, when I was a kid, I saw The Lady Vanishes with Elliot Gould and Sybil Shepherd and Angela Lansbury and what was it, Herbert Lom. I don't know if you know that version. I actually saw that version first before I saw the Agatha Christie version. And I actually love that. I love that version of The Lady Vanishes. It was in color, and I like the song that Miss Froy sings. The character that Angela Lansbury plays. Miss Froy's a very important character in that film, in that story. The tune I liked very much, and I liked the rapport between it was Elliot Gould and Sybil Shepherd. I'm remembering that film correctly, right? I hope it's been too long and it's getting late. So let's see. And as I'm about to shut down for the day, Nick Libertar says, hello, good morning, Daisuke. Was wondering what your favorite Ingmar Bergman film is. Okay, so let's see. I might very gently direct your attention to. There's a video I did here on this YouTube channel. I think if you do a search like Ingmar Bergman ranked, or maybe Daisuke Beppu and Ingmar Bergman ranked, you can come up with the video that I did. I actually went through the entire film selection in the Criterion box set, Ingmar Bergman Cinema, and actually went through and actually ranked all of the Bergman films in that set. from my so-called least favorite, which is still, I think, relatively speaking, a good film, all the way up to my #1 favorite Bergman film. So if you want an answer, I would suggest that you take a look at that video. Plus, you can see what else I said about that. I think for the most part, I'm thinking back on that list, and it's more or less the same. It hasn't changed. So I would respectfully direct your attention there. You might find the answer to your question. But thank you very much for the question. It's really excellent. I love it. Fantastic. Yes. Let's see. Okay. Yeah. Dungeon Studio, Lady Vanishes. Wasn't that a Frank Sinatra movie as well? Maybe one of these days. I've done Dario Argento. I've done Edward Yang. Maybe I should do a Lady Vanishes retrospective. I think that might be worth it. So, but then Wolfgard says he made one called Lady in. Okay, yes. So, yes, or Frank Sinatra. Speaking of Frank Sinatra films and Criterion, you gotta, if you haven't seen it, you have to check out The Manchurian Candidate. That's a freaky film. That is a really freaky film. And I was talking about Lady Vanishes, the later version with Angela Lansbury, of course. Wow, that's a great film. But and Man with the Golden Arm, of course, Davy, Devolution, there with the great final word. Fantastic, yes. Anyway, so that is it for me. So it's already past midnight, so it's past my bedtime, although it's not really my bedtime because I'm going to go watch something really quickly. And so, my friends, thank you very much. Once again, the not Barnes & Noble, what am I saying? It's late. My brain is not working, sorry. So the Criterion Collection website, web store, is having its 30% off sale. So make sure you check the website. You have to enter in a promo code, CHEER, CHEER, as in cheerleader, or good cheer, as in ho, ho, ho. So you have to enter in the promo code to take advantage of the 30% off discount. But if you are interested, and if this is something that you are able to take advantage of, given your location in the world, then by all means, enjoy the Criterion Collection holiday sale. You have until December 12th, my friends. December 12th. So, and if you have anything that you've gotten from the sale, or you are thinking about getting something, or you're planning on getting something, but maybe you're going to save it for the next sale or whatever the case may be, my friends, please feel free to leave a comment below. As always, I love to hear these lists and these ideas and these stories and these situations and the acquisitions from you, my dear friends. So please feel free to leave a comment here, there, or everywhere. As the song says. So, with that, my friends, thank you very much, and good night, and cheers. All right. Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. Oh, yeah, so, it's Altron Kaiju. Thank you very much for that last comment. I love your name, by the way. It's a really great name. All right, so I'm just gonna be heading off here, but I don't know what I'm gonna watch. All that talk about George Smiley. I mean, I guess I could watch Spy Who Came from the Cold. I mean, that has a Smiley connection, as you know. But man, man, the Alec Guinness dramas are just so much fun, aren't they? They are so much fun. Although there's some Doctor Who discussion here with Tom Baker, mentioning of Tom Baker. So maybe I'll watch some Doctor Who. I don't know. I'm not I must admit, I'm not as up on my modern Doctor Who as I should be, but I'm a big fan of Doctor Who. I don't know if I've told you this, but when I was a little kid, my dad was he was working for whatever company he was working with at the time, and he worked in the Tokyo office, and then he was transferred to the New York office, and then when I was maybe 6 or 7 or so, that was when we found out that he was going to be transferred to the to the London office of whatever it was. And so this was around the late 80s. So this was the time of Mrs. Thatcher, and it was the time of Edwina Currie and the salmonella egg scare. I don't know if any of you who are from the United Kingdom will remember that, but it was around that time, and it was around, it was not long before this whole thing of the fatwa and Salman Rushdie and the Satanic Verses, and it was around the time that uh, Home and Away, the Australian soap drama, was just about to start. Up to then, it had been pretty much dominated by Neighbours, but then Home and Away started with Alf and Alisa and Pippa and Mr. Fisher was the bad guy and all that stuff. But so it was around this time that we came to England, and that's where I lived. We lived for maybe 3 or 4 years or so, 4 years or so actually. And I remember returning on the TV one day, and it was the first time I had ever been exposed to Doctor Who on television. Sylvester McCoy, and it was, I don't know if you know the serial that he did, Dragonfire, which is great, but it was the end of the first part of that, and if you know it, it's very famous or infamous. It's Sylvester McCoy, and he's there, and for whatever reason, it's the scene where he's wandering around the ice cliffs, and then for whatever reason he decides to climb down on his own volition, and then he's just hanging off of the cliff, and he's just hanging with his umbrella and just hanging off the cliff, and that's the end. That's the cliffhanger, and it's an actual cliffhanger that ends. That is the cliffhanger that ends the first part of this Dragonfire. But that was my first exposure to Doctor Who, and it was a very interesting. The entry into Doctor Who, and so yeah, I think my life changed from that point on. But yeah, that was an interesting way to get introduced to Doctor Who. Gosh, maybe I'll go watch the Caves of Androzani. Perhaps that's a good one to watch. But anyway, my friends, sorry for this, and I will see you later. And don't forget about the Criterion Collection sale, December 12th. That's when it ends. So please enjoy. And for all of you, have a great rest of your day, and cheers. Good night.